How is the Diablo 4 PTR? Is Diablo 4 good now? How will be Season 4? Those are all questions that popped out on my Twitch for the last week. And I'm going to address all of those questions right now. So first things first. I did actually test the PTR for the whole duration of the event. So I streamed I streamed every single day for, between 6 to 12 hours per day from April 2nd to April 9th. So I did test a fair amount of new features of content in this PTR. However, I didn't test it as much as I wanted to because I did start with the campaign. And the reason why I did start with the campaign at first is because I really wanted to experience the whole thing all over again from the ground up. So I did like I did the first time with the beta, and when the game released, I just happened to stop playing the game altogether since January because Season 3 was very, I just didn't enjoy it that much. I leveled the character up to level 22 and I never played again. So now when they announced the PTR, I was like, all right, they're changing the whole core mechanics and they seem to be much better. So I'm going to do it all over again. So I started with the camping. I created a barbarian and I just did everything from the ground up. So I started at level 1 and I relived the whole experience. I wanted to be a newbie player. I wanted to know how it feels to just go right off the bat. I didn't skip the campaign. I didn't take the PTR boost. I didn't get any world rewards. I actually went completely naked. So, obviously, I took some notes. Yesterday, I did a stream and I actually did a whole feedback of what I experienced. So let's start with the camping because that's how I started the PTR. First of all, the drops were very low, like they said, and every single drop I got felt relevant. This is amazing. Because every time I found a piece of gear, even though it was a white one, a normal one, the boost was relevant. It felt like good to find an item. However, the legendary drops were extremely low during the campaign. I do not know if that was intended because I saw the patch notes and they said that the legendary drops would be double during the PTR. I do not know if it's post-campaign. Probably it was because most people did just skip the campaign and went right to level 100 to test all the mechanics, which I didn't want to do. I wanted to do something different. And even with this still, after around level 30, my barbarian felt like a god. Literally a god. The campaign feels way better this way. Don't get me wrong. This is amazing. I think the sentence I repeated on and on every freaking time I was playing the game was, God, that feels good. This came so often, like almost too often. But the thing is, it's a double-edged sword, okay? Because, yes, it does feel good, but at some point the campaign became so easy that I wished that you could change the difficulty mid-campaign so that you can find more loot, get more XP, more gold, because it just basically became so easy that I was like, I released a video a few days ago, and you saw me basically melt Duriel. And Duriel died in under 5 seconds, probably even less than that. So, yes, it does feel good, but at the same time, it does feel overpowered. And even Lilith, she wasn't a challenge at all. So the campaign, I went right through it like butter. Basically butter in a pan. And that's also something I repeated during that PTR event. So there should be a way to change the difficulty mid-campaign. Because if you wait after the campaign, everything is so easy. Like even the capstone dungeon, after I did the campaign, the curator was so easy that when I arrived at World Tier 3, the difficulty gap was very intense. Like, basically, the curator melted. I killed it in under 10 seconds. And as soon as I arrived at World Tier 3, everything was one-shotting me for some reason. So, the difficulty gap between the world tiers are pretty unbalanced, as if. I don't know if it's intended or if it's probably just me that's bad. Probably it's me that's bad. Who knows? But that's how I felt. And they should also give us the opportunity to redo the campaign at different levels if we can't change it mid-campaign. Like the older games, it would bring another game loop. I know the campaign is pretty long. I know it's about 20 hours, 25 hours or so if you're taking your time. But that would feel much better because right now the end game, even the end game bosses, it's kind of boring, to be honest with you. This is my take. Probably it's an unpopular opinion, and I don't really mind that. But I feel that it's boring. I don't feel like the bosses of the dungeons are relevant. They don't have any relevance to the story. They actually managed to give us a few quests with the blacksmith in Kyovashad. And the thing I realized at some point is I didn't know any NPC names beside the NPCs that are with you in the campaign. So I just realized during the PTR, after a whole year, that the blacksmith in Kyovashad is called Zivek. I didn't even care before that, because now I had a lot of quests with him that is not only upgrade your gear once, you had the masterworking, you had the tempering, you had so many things to do with that blacksmith that now I know his name. So W for Blizzard for that, because now I know the blacksmith's name. It never happened before. I didn't care. But Zivek, big W, is nice. He's a nice guy. I like it. Yeah, but to get back to the campaign, that's my take. So I'm pretty sure that being able to change the difficulty level during the campaign and also to redo the campaign all over again with the new difficulty would add a game loop that is interesting. You would be able to redo all the campaign dungeons and bosses, which are relevant to the story. And even if they didn't let us do the campaign again, just let us do like some chapters of it, like redo, the Gulran, city streets when Elias wants to bring back Andariel and such. This was great. It was a great experience. I don't want just to do a basic dungeon over and over again to release to just unlock an aspect, to fight the Tomb Lord, the Blood Bishop, or the whatever maiden that is. It's like I don't really care about them. They're not even in the campaign. I don't even know who they are, what they are doing to the story, and why they are there. I don't care. I just don't know. And also all the dungeons. I'm gonna talk about the base game as well. During this part, but all the dungeons feel the same. It's just the same dungeon with a different paint job over it. They all end up the same way with the scythe, it's the scythe shape with the, like the health fountain at the end of it. It's all the same. And I'm going to talk a lot about Diablo 2 with this one, but back in Diablo 2, when you did the Den of Evil, when you did the monastery, when you did the worm tunnels, when you did the Pandemonium, when you did the Torrents of Hate with Mephisto, every single dungeon had a personality, felt different, and every time you arrive at the boss gate is so different. It could be anywhere in the dungeon. And, yes, the campaign is only 6 to 8 hours when you know what you're doing, but it had personality. It felt different. It felt good to do those dungeons. Now I just feel it's the same layout, same dungeon, the same mini-map, with a different paint job over it. Yes, it looks different when you're in it, but when you look at the map, when you look at the layout, it's all the same. It's like at some point it gets boring, and you have 150 of them. So I don't want to do 150 times the same dungeon over and over again to just get some prizes. It's just boring to me. Make them relevant. Make the bosses relevant. Make them unique. Like not just a paint job over it. Make the layout unique. It's like if you're in Kyrgyzstan, make them like the wormholes, or make them like the tombs, like in Tal Rasha. It's like it's a desert, for God's sake. If you're in, the Fractured Peaks, it's mountains and ice things. Like make like the tunnels like more, like cramped, and make like different levels and all. It's like I don't know. It just this is me. This is just me. All right, so. I'm done with the campaign and the complaining about the base game. Now we're gonna get back to the PTR, and now let's get to the leveling. So I did test the leveling quite a lot. I tested every single class leveling. I didn't boost except the barbarian, and I realized that it's probably a bug. But if they're doing other PTRs, do not PTR boost if you already leveled or if you have gear on yourself. Because I realized that the first time I killed Varshan, I got the Andariel's visage. I don't know why. I got it the first try. This is like one of the rarest items in the game, and I got it first try with Varshan. However, I was level between 71 and 75. I just don't recall because I boosted in those levels, like early 70-ish. And when I boosted, the PTR replaced every single piece of gear on my character. So I lost every Uber Uniques I found, which was very frustrating. I don't really care because, we lost everything anyway. But it's just like, for the sake of it, if you find very good and rare gear, and if there's other PTRs that actually give you the opportunity to boost it right off the bat, or remove all your equipment from your character before you do so. Or maybe Blizzard, please fix this. This would feel much better. But the leveling with the Barbarian was very decent. Even during the campaign, I finished the campaign at around level 50. Even though I didn't skip anything, I just did everything that I didn't do much side quests and all. I just did the campaign and I went up to level 50. Post campaign, it was pretty fast. From level 50 to level 71, it took me around 6 hours, like half a stream, which was very decent. I did take my time. I did take a few things, and also all my times they are buffed up a bit because I did a lot of role-playing. I'm role-playing my characters when I'm playing Diablo, so everything I'm doing in 6 hours, I could have done it probably in 4 hours or so, maybe even less, depending. But like I said, post-campaign, as soon as I went to World Tier 3, everything that was melting was now one-shotting me for some reasons, I don't know. It felt kind of the same with other characters as well. The Sorcerer. I actually leveled all the characters up to level around 30. To see how long it will take. The Sorcerer took me around an hour and a half. And the Sorcerer for me was the most well-balanced class. It wasn't too strong, too weak. It wasn't, it wasn't being one-shot by everything suddenly. Everything was pretty decent with the Sorcerer. It was a very well-balanced class. After I went to the Druid felt very, very weak. Until early 20s, and then I used the tempering on it to give me some boost, and that's when I realized the tempering was broken. Like I said, the last video I did was about the broken mechanic of the tempering, so I won't dwell too much on that. I also have the tempering right after the leveling, so I'm gonna be back to it in a short while. So as soon as I tempered, basically I became a god, and I didn't feel relevant to level up that character anymore. The Necromancer. The Necromancer was overpowered at the start. Basically, as soon as you have your minions, you're a god, regardless of any buffs. Even though you have nothing, I didn't use any tempering, nothing. I just went into the Hell Ties with my minions, and everything was basically melting on my minions. So Necromancer is probably the top tier S, and maybe double S tier of the next season if there's no changes whatsoever. The Necromancer will be a god, basically. The Rogue was the second most balanced, right after the Sorcerer. The horse attack at first was very OP. Like, as soon as you jumped out of your horse, your rain of knives was basically melting every horse that I saw on screen. But the rest was quite alright. You were quite, still a bit weak against the attacks because you're still a rogue. But you were quite powerful. So, yeah, the Rogue was very balanced. Leveled up quite nicely. Around the same as the Sorcerer. So I was around level 30 in another 2 hours. So yeah, felt very good. So basically, the best classes to worst classes was even the Necromancer was top tier, followed right next by the Barb, Sorcerer, Rogue, and dead last the Druid. Probably I wasn't high level enough to have the proper grasp of the Druid. I never actually liked the Druid that much in this game. I actually loved it in Diablo 2. This was one of the most powerful classes, and I played a bunch of it. But in this game, I don't know. I feel the Druid is very weak. Like I said, probably I just don't have enough experience with the class. So now, the new features. Tempering. The tempering is basically broken. Like I said in the last video, I have more in depth in what I managed to do with the tempering. But however, long story short, I managed to do a level 1 run of the Capstone Dungeon that I completed at level 12 because obviously I leveled up just by killing monsters in it. And I went straight to the Fallen Temple at level 13. and I ended up the dungeon at level 28 because I did level up during doing the dungeon because they are asking you to kill some stuff. So yeah, so the tempering is just basically broken, and in my opinion, you shouldn't be keeping the highest rolls, either for manuals or aspects, for the whole realm. This should be either character based or maybe level locked or world tier locked. I don't really know what could be the best solution for this, and I am not against like boosting your upcoming characters. After you did the game once, your new characters are a little bit stronger. I don't have anything against that. The thing is, it shouldn't be a god right off the bat. It's like this has no purpose to me. This is an RPG. This is not a god simulator. But I'm probably biased, but whatever. It, like I said, it should also be applied to aspects and aspects roles. You shouldn't be able to keep the highest rolls of everything you're finding. And also manuals and aspects are not that hard to find on the wild. It's like you find legendary items in the Hell Tides. I found that the legendary drops were not that bad, and it was even better in the PvP zones. The legendary drops in the PvP zone was insane, literally insane. There's way less monsters than in Hell Tides, and I found way more loot for some reason. Yeah, so the only aspects you should have unlocked right off the bat are the aspects that you do from the dungeons, because like I said, the dungeons are very boring to me, and I don't want to do them over and over again. So as soon as you unlock them, fair game. For the tempering, the cost of materials was way too much. Way too much. I think it was like only for the Veil Crystals. The Veil Crystals was overly used. Like they needed them for almost everything, and it was ridiculous. At some point, I saw 20, 35, 70 or 75, and even like 120 or 150. Like to upgrade only one piece of item, finding 75 Veiled Crystals took me roughly 2 hours. For a piece of gear that I probably won't use anymore as soon as I'm going to find something higher level. This is ridiculous. It is so way too much. Way too much materials. Please fix this. Also the the green axes, the legendary materials, those as well, they ask for so many of them, and it's so rare to find them. I know the blatant axes, I don't remember the name of the material. I should check it out, but anyway, you know what I'm talking about, the green axe material, legendary material. This one was so rare as well, and they are asking so for many of them. At some point, I think I saw 100 or something. This is ridiculous. And also, the Veiled Crystals, just as a quick reminder, it's written that it's dropping from salvaging rare and higher. I think I never found any legendary drops that gave me Veiled Crystals at all in the whole event, at all. And also, I realized there was a bug with the tempering. Sometimes the temper was not applying to the item, but it still cost me the materials. So I was just re-rolling just to make sure it didn't apply for some reason, and even the re-roll didn't apply. I needed to quit the game and come back to the game, and then it applied for the third, tempering, but the first two ones just never worked. Okay, so let's go to the masterworking. So masterworking is a new mechanic that makes you the opportunity to upgrade your gear after you're done with, I think it's Nightmare Dungeons level 41 or something. I still had this unlocked even though I didn't do any Nightmare Dungeons in the game at all. I think the highest I did is level 21. I did only once because I wanted to try the new bosses and the new events in it. And it still worked. So whatever. The pit worked as well, and I'm going to go back to the pit after. But the masterworking, it's already costing a lot of materials already. And there is a fail rate. So when this fails, it's kind of frustrating. Because when you need, like, I don't know, like I think at the rank 3 or 4, it's already costing you 30 or 40 orbalites. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it well. So the orbs that you find at the end of the pit, they're costing a lot of them. And when it fails, you just need to go back and farm them all over again. And this is freaking frustrating, especially when you need a lot of them to rank once. And also, it says that tempered legendary items would be, master workable, which never worked for me. like the only two pieces of gear that was available for Masterwork was one unique and one legendary for some reason, and every other legendary items that were tempered were not masterworkable, and I do not know why. There's no indication whatsoever if there was other like prerequisites for it. I just thought that every legendary items that were ancestral and tempered would work. It doesn't. It doesn't work. I do not know why, but it never worked. So the masterwork needs some work. That is my take on it. Okay, now let's go to the Hell Tides. So the new Hell Tides, it feels very good. Very, very good. World Tier 1 and 2 having Hell Tides is great for people who doesn't want to do the camping over again. It's a very good place for leveling. There's also a great monster density. However, they said that there wouldn't be any meteor drops rain on the World Tier 1 and 2, and I still got them quite a lot. So I do not know if I misread or if I got this wrong, but this still happened. Also, there's a lot of Blood Harvest vibe in it. There was a lot of events that was actually in the Blood Harvest. This is a big W for Blizzard because this feels way better because the Blood Harvest was way more fun than the original Hell Tides, hands down. The Hell Tides in World Tier 3 and up, the Hellborn bosses are sometimes like way too weak or way too powerful for some reason. The balance of the power level of those bosses are way off the chart, and I don't know why. Sometimes, like, I got them pretty easily, and sometimes they were just one-shotting me regardless of what I was doing. So, even with my highest level characters. So I don't really know if I was doing something wrong, maybe. And I think the threat level 3 came very too often, too fast, just a bit way too fast. Because, you know, sometimes I went to the Hell Tides only to get some, you know, the cinders just to unlock a chest to get a material for a boss. And even before I finished to collect all those cinders, I already had maybe sometimes even 2 level 3 threats, which would make my hardcore runs hell, basically hell. I was very confident to do hardcore runs when I did the campaign, and as soon as I arrived in World Tier 3, I was like, oh, maybe I won't do hardcore runs anymore. You know, it's like, I'm still thinking about that. I do not know if it would be fun to do or not, but I probably won't do the Hell Tides just because of that. The Worm Spewers, they are very fun, don't get me wrong. This is a nice addition, a nice randomness added to the Hell Tide. However, they are spawning way too often. Way too often. Like, every 30 seconds, 1 minute, I have a worm spewing monsters on me. So when you're just trying to level quietly and not having your threat level go that much, this is basically... this is a threat booster. And also, like, I don't know, it just feels that it's way too often. So maybe they could be there a bit less often, but a bit more fearful. You know, maybe a little bit more challenging or with more monsters, but way less often, because they just arrive like every single like 30 seconds, and these few monsters are. I think the worm should be like a fear. You know, you should be afraid of it. And also some Whispers quest in the Hell Tides were a bit confusing at me at first, like the Doomsayers ones. I really didn't know what the Doomsayers were. I thought they were monsters or such. And I realized they were like the kneeling preachers in the circles. I just realized that. Probably it's just me who's like probably confused. Probably I was tunnel visioned and I didn't read well. But I just felt like I didn't even know they were Doomsayers. I just thought they were like, you know, like random NPCs in pain that you needed to help, and that's it, you know. But regardless of all I said, it felt really good and intense, and it was great. The only bugs I actually noticed about the Hell Tides is that sometimes there were several chests bugs. There was some kind of invisible wall around the chest that once you open them, you cannot reach them anymore. It pushes you out of the chest, and you were just doing like an invisible wall circle around the chest, and you basically lost your loot. The only thing that was going to your stash when you log out and log back in is the materials for the bosses, like the living steel, which is great. Thank you for that. But all the other materials, it basically just lost, and it was a bit frustrating at times. Okay, the dungeons. Already spoke about the dungeons earlier, but, you know, like I said, it's the same. Basically, I think it's crap. Same templates with other paint jobs, same 2 or 3 bosses that are irrelevant to the story. So yeah, I'm gonna skip that part because I already talked about it, and I don't want to bore you even more. The world bosses. So the bosses ladder, it felt way better, but sometimes I felt that they died very really quickly. I like Zier basically melted. Gregoire was even not as worse as Zier. It died very quickly. Duriel felt great. Varshan felt great. Lilith, I felt it was still a bit difficult for no reason. It's like all her traps are most of the time unescapable, and they one-shot you even though at level 100 with a lot of Paragon and a good, decent gear. So I think there's a difficulty balance, like it's unbalanced between the bosses. So I'm gonna dive in very quickly. So, Uber Duriel. It felt like the most balanced boss of the game. And also the Duriel fight in the campaign should have been this way. It's like you don't expect Duriel to come over. It comes over. It has spawns like that comes and spew poison at you. The fight felt very good. Very balanced. It wasn't too easy. Wasn't too hard. It was basically a well-balanced fight and I enjoyed it. So this is a Uber fight I would probably do again. I don't mind it. It's very fun. Uber Lilith, I ended up, abandoning it altogether just because I didn't have enough time to try that fight like for 15 times. I wanted to test the most things possible. I just think the traps made the fight much harder than anything else. The first traps that the rails of spike that she throw at you are decently easy to avoid once you know the pattern, which is not that. No, it's fine. It's just like the fire thingy that is like the fire grid that just spawns all over the circle for some reason. Even though you go out of the circle, you die, and if you stay in the circle, you die. So it's like, I just don't know. This is not fun. I could probably have beaten her if I was more ready, but I don't really like to rely on items like elixirs and incenses to boost your character to just finish a fight. I think everything should be able to be done with in-game stuff, like not potions and stuff. But this is my opinion. Like I said, Lord Z was way too easy. This is for me the easiest Uber boss. It died in under 10 seconds. I didn't have much fun. I didn't, even saw every of his attacks. Varshan was the second most balanced fight, but only after a decent level. Once you reach a decent level, this is pretty an easy fight, but you cannot try to do it like at a, much lower level than it is. The Beast in Ice, I didn't have time to try it because I didn't find enough materials to summon it anyway. Even during the whole week, I only had 6. And also, I must say that I realized after I PTR boosted my character, every single boss materials that I found were erased as well. So all living steels, all essences, all exquisite bloods, they were all erased when I PTR boosted. So don't do it if you have boss materials, or drop them in your stash. Probably that will help. And Dariel, I didn't have the time to try it because I didn't find the pincushion dolls because they were dropping from the Beast in Ice, and like I said, I didn't try it. And Gregoire was the second easiest boss. It was almost as easy as Zier, but it wasn't as easy, but almost as easy. So now, the pit. The pit was quite fun. But I think there's not enough material rewards, and I stopped going down at around level 20. I didn't have enough time to test it, but it still felt quite good. I didn't have enough time to test it because I tested it on the last day, and like I said, I spent almost 4 days on the campaign. No, 3 days on the campaign. And yeah, I basically wasted a lot of time doing this. All right, itemization. The fact that the aspects and manuals are in the codex, this is a huge win. Huge W for Blizzard, but this still need to be the basic roles or level locked or character based, like I said. I still got a lot of lower tier items, even in World Tier 3 or 4. I got normal items in World Tier 3 and Sacred in World Tier 4. They said that this wouldn't happen, so I don't know if it's just because the balance was not on point yet. The gems are not doing much. And honestly, it always ended up to be either the rubies and the skulls, sometimes the diamonds for resistances, and sometimes the emeralds for vulnerable damage. But, nothing else than that. And also, I would so wish that the topaz was giving you magic find. back like in Diablo 2. Please. If you're going to lower the level of drops and lower the level of magic find, please make the gems do magic find again. That would, like, this is like amazing. Please do this again. Okay, so the PTR boost, like I said, it deletes everything. The greater affixes were quite nice. I found great to find greater affixes gear. However, this is often an irrelevant stat, and when you want to re-roll it, it deletes the greater affix. So either it gives you a bad stat that you don't want, and if you cancel the re-roll, it gives you back the same affix but the normal one, so you lose your greater affix. So I don't know if it's a bug or anything, but this is not good, so I'm not sure. Codex of Power. Having favorites is very good, but I realize that the search is limited if you know the exact name of the aspect. You cannot search by term. So example, I was trying to find all aspects that gave me thorns. So I just wrote thorns, and it wasn't giving me anything. Vulnerable, it wasn't giving me anything. So the search of the codex should be term-based. That would be nice if I could search for thorns, if I could search for vulnerable to find it, because I don't want to know all the aspects name by heart. This is kind of like, I don't know if it's unreasonable or whatever, but I don't want to do this. And I just messed up with my camera. And also, my last point of this is the sorting. So it was bugged after some time, and I couldn't sort by power level anymore. It was all messed up after some point. My last day, actually, the sorting was bugged. I don't know if it was just me or if it was the PTR that bugged because it was the last day. But on the last day, the sorting was not working anymore. And also, all monsters and legendaries that were dropped past level 95 were not 925 all the time, to my knowledge. I may be wrong. Probably I messed that part up. But I didn't feel that all the gear was dropped at 925 like they said. So, I don't know. So, yeah. So, is the PTR good? Yes, I had a great experience with the PTR. Is Diablo 4 saved? I'm not sure. Maybe. Probably. Am I certain without a shadow of a doubt? No. Is there still things to fix and work? Definitely. But is it much better than it was? Yeah, it is. It felt so good. The PTR was amazing. If the base game was this way, I would play it every single day for the duration of the lifetime of this game. Way more than Diablo 3, probably as much as Diablo 2. Diablo 3, I ended up stopped playing altogether because it was boring after some time, and I felt like this wasn't a real Diablo. It was just fun for the time it went, and after I was done with everything, I never played anymore. I'm still playing Diablo 2 to this day, after like almost 25 years. And Diablo 3 I didn't play in maybe almost 10 years, since the expansion came out. I played Reaper of Souls. I raised the new class, the Necromancer, up to 60 hardcore, like I did with the Crusader, and I never played anymore. I never played since. So yeah, so this was my PTR impressions. So if you liked all this video, please give a like and subscribe, and see you in the next video. So take care and have a good one.